a handful of times. The only time I've seen it consistently this busy, even on a Friday night, was pre-2007, the Great Recession. It was that busy. Now, my takeaway from this whole vacation, my takeaway from the travel, because again, first travel in about 6 months, my takeaway, other than wearing a mask and some very minor policy changes, folks, this trip was business as usual. All dinners were outside except for that dinner cruise. That was inside. But outside, we were always at least 6 feet from any other diners. And you had to wear masks inside of all places, even if it was outside in the restaurant. You had to wear a mask unless you were sitting at your table. On the dinner cruise, it was inside, but they did big time social distancing there. Probably a third of the way full was all that this thing was, and they closed it after that. We were never within 12 feet of another table, at least 12 feet of another table. And again, you had to wear your mask unless you were sitting down and eating. Everyone was respectful. Everyone was courteous, but everybody did their thing. Now, why was this? I suspect that a lot of the reason was because there were a whole lot of older people. Sure, there were some families, but for the most part, it was mostly older people, 50s on up, okay? We did everything we normally would do on vacation, absolutely everything, with little or no change, little or no disruption. Very early on, after very early on, I should say, that all travel anxiety was gone. And I'll tell you how comfortable I feel. I'm traveling on business next week. I'm flying into Washington Reagan Airport, and I've got to take care of a customer out there. But business as usual is kind of what we have now. And before you say, "Oh, come on, Strong, now you're playing into that the heck with the pandemic, put caution to the wind, everything else." No. I'm not saying that at all. Let's remember the original reason for keeping the pandemic at bay, okay? It's to protect the vulnerable and flatten the curve, okay? And because if you flatten the curve, you don't fill up the hospital. So those that get sick can get proper care. We need to do this until we have a vaccine, okay? And remember the 3 original rules that we had. Wash your hands, social distance, wear a mask. We're still, for the most part, doing that. On the plane, you're not social distancing, of course, but you have to wear a mask unless you're physically eating something, okay? But we're still doing most all that. And I think we will be doing that for quite some time. I think we're going to be wearing masks for a while, social distancing when prudent for a while. And I hope we always wash our hands, okay? So we don't need to ever throw that one in the toilet. Something else to consider. I don't know every person over 60 or every person that's vulnerable because of, health, whatever. But I would say every person over 60 plus that I know has been vaccinated. Every person who's at risk that I know has been vaccinated. Every one of them. Cases in the United States, way down. Yeah, some places it's peaked a little bit, but for the most part, cases in the U.S., way down. Cases in Missouri, way down. Cases in western St. Charles County, way down. In fact, we've had no deaths in St. Charles County since January. 0. Now, this pandemic has taken a mental toll on everyone. I'm no exception. In fact, it may have taken, I'm not going to say it took a bigger toll on me than it did others, but it took a big toll on me. I'm a very social person. We are a very social people. That's how we ride, okay? Now, since about February 2020, we haven't been a very social people. The pandemic was real. The pandemic is real. It's not done, okay? It isn't the flu. It isn't the scamdemic. It isn't a government plot. And it's still going on. And it's not over. However, it's time to resume business as usual, life as usual, with prudence, of course, okay? And when I say that, I mean I don't think we have to work from home unless, of course, it's your employer says it's fine because maybe you can be just as more productive as ever. We can go to restaurants. We can go to travel in an airplane. We can go watch a ball game. Even the CDC says if you're around vaccinated people, and I'm here to tell you that most everybody I know has had at least one stick. Many have had two. But even the CDC says if you're around vaccinated people and you've been vaccinated, it really is business as usual. You can hug, you can kiss, you can do all that in public, okay? Now, when you're in public, of course, you don't know about other people, so you still need to follow those 3 rules. Probably need to wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands, of course. But me personally, I'm getting back into life. This vacation made me realize what we have been missing. And I'm ready to go. And perhaps, here's what I've taken away from this whole pandemic thing. Perhaps we've taken a lot for granted. Getting in a car and going someplace, getting in an airplane and going someplace, just going to a ball game, going to a restaurant, going to do other stuff. We perhaps took this for granted. I did. And perhaps all of us have also, okay? Now, perhaps now we'll stop. We'll take a breath. We'll stop or at least reduce the finger pointing, the name calling, and remember to take others into consideration before making decisions, before running our mouth, before being ugly and being mean, okay? Politically, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you heard a strong show about politics? It's been a long time. Because quite frankly, you can't have discussions about politics anymore. Because if you don't agree 100% with somebody you're talking to, you're a communist, you're a socialist, you're a Nazi, or the big one, you're a racist. That's right. If I don't agree with you, I'm obviously a racist. It's stupid. And perhaps now we'll take a breath and be a bit more understanding of where others are from. Take a vacation, go out, have some fun, live your life, and then think to yourself, is all the stuff that I'm saying really worth it? Do we really want to spend all of our time involving ourselves in dopey politicians who really couldn't give 2 shakes about you? Because most of them don't. I would say hardly any of them at a national level do. They care about themselves. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Biden. I don't care if you're Trump. I don't care if you're Obama. I don't care if you're anybody. Most of them care about themselves. That's it. My suggestion to you, if they don't care about you, why should you care so much about them? Sure, hold them accountable for their actions, but you don't need to follow them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, follow their every move. Look at their policies. If you agree with them, vote for them next time around. If you don't agree with them, vote for somebody else next time around, okay? But most important, live your life. Have fun. Do your own thing. Sure, do it prudently still because the pandemic's not over, but do your own thing. Live your own life. I certainly am, starting a week ago. Well, that's it. We're done. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, you can always send me an email whether you want to subscribe to the podcast or not. JamesStrongShow@hotmail.com. You send me your email address. I will email you a copy of the podcast upon publication. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can just go to, there's so many places. iTunes. I like iTunes a lot. I'm an Apple guy and I like my Apple phone. But you can go to iTunes. You can go to iHeartRadio, Player FM, TuneIn. Okay. TuneIn's still around, believe it or not. You can get me on YouTube. You can get me on Spotify. You can get me on CastBox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, JioSavan for my friends in India, and of course, Spreaker.com. Okay? And if you got one of the Alexas, just say, Alexa, play the James Strong Show podcast. Bang, it'll come on, and at least give you an option as to the podcast you want to hear. Okay, that's it. We're done. Have a good weekend, folks. Have a good week. Until next time, this is James Strong saying adios.